Patricia from the Southwest Yankees. What some middle-aged woman will do. Yankee Juxtapost. Light moment. Instruct the wise and they will be wiser still. Instruct the righteous and they will add to their learning. Proverbs 9:9. So, side note first, we will be doing, I'm waiting for more people's input on my research on the employee. We already did the boss, now we're going to do the employee. Because that was the last installment, was on bosses. So, compared to north, south, northeast, and the southwest. So, the topic today, as it was in the title, I have talked about how the New York Yankees, there's a lot of them because, you know, just like California, just really too expensive still, they all came here. So how I said that, you know, I'm in cahoots with them because I'm from Massachusetts. So we'll go over something that happened twice that I think is bringing it too far. So my happy little Yankee club is backfired in my face a little. So what happened? We will go over a few things that have happened, but this is the second time this has happened, and this is the, you know, I guess the icing on the cake of this trifecta montage. It had something to do with a New Yorker calling me a New Yorker. So, happened twice. So, I'm going to be talking about that one. And the kids, and this happened recently, but it happened a couple times with the younger students that had mentioned that my accent was from New York, not from Massachusetts, but the high schooler took it a step further. So, yes, because high schoolers are hilarious. Not that the other students aren't hilarious, but, you know, the high schoolers like sarcasm, they have it down. So, they can mess with you sarcastically and you're like, oh no, they got me good. So, and the third one, how other people were invited into the club, but the head of the club, the most of them are, again, New Yorkers, but we'll talk about another member, and that's somebody from Vermont. So, we will start with the second time, the number 2 that happened, the second time. Well, I was at the church breakfast. They were having like end of week celebration of the missionaries from other countries showed up at church, and they were talking about what was going on in these other countries. So we had a pancake breakfast. So my son and I are sitting there, and I noticed that there is a man with obviously a New York accent with a cap that said NY on it. So he's talking away, and he's talking to a couple Texans about baseball up in New York City. But that's for another time. Because the plot to this story is, he's talking away. Finally, I, get myself into the conversation, and he says, you were from New York. And then I'm like, what? And I said, no, I'm from Massachusetts. So he starts backpedaling like, whoa, I just messed up. What am I going to do? So he says, say khakis. So I'm like, okay, buddy, that boat has already sailed. So in my horror, and I'm like, it happened twice. So let's move on to the next one that's a little less of a traumatic experience. So I had said that a couple other times, you know, of all my jobs, I was at middle school and the kids are, I think it was middle, it might have been high school. Don't quote me on this, but I was talking away and they're like, oh, you're from New York. I'm like, no, it's Massachusetts. And this happened twice too. Both the students said, this is different times, they said, no, that's New York. So I'm like, this is so adorable. So it happened a third time. The student said, I said, they say, oh, you're from New York. I said, no, I'm Massachusetts. And then he says, this was definitely a high schooler because it happened recently. And he goes, no, New York, after I said Massachusetts, and starts laughing. So that made me feel a little bit better. So, yes. They let me in their club and I'm, you know, throwing them under the bus, you know, the New Yorkers. So we get to the third of the montage. I walked down the hall and my new friend from Vermont is talking to one of the other teachers from New York. And they're talking and I run over there and I say, oh, we having a meeting of the Yankee Club. So that was a little happier. So we're going to talk about another Saturday. Yes. It started out happy. We went hiking with one of my social groups and I saw a deer. We hiked next to a lake. Heard the water splashing, you know, against the, you know, the ground. I call it the ground. And so what happened was, I'm with my, like, we're both like, you know, being extroverts. You know, the people walking on the trails and we're like, this is like a state park and like everybody's like walking. I think one part of the lake is like a state park because, you know, there's no building down there on that side. So, you know, her and I are like, good morning, hey, how you doing? Hi. All of a sudden, I see another cap with a bee on it. So now we're talking to somebody that has a Boston cap on. So I see him and I'm like, hey, you know, and I'm like, you know, telling him my city, he's telling him his city. And then he's like, oh yeah, I've been here down this long and yeah, I try not to use my accent and I'm really trying to like, you know, be a Texan. I'm like, what? So I'm like, well, obviously he's not going to be a member of the club. So, yes. So, besides people getting me information about the employee thing, because we already did the bosses, we'll go more on the couple Massachusetts or even finding them because, you know, it's mostly New Yorkers and Californians moving down here, so, you know, it's not, you know, even somebody I met from Michigan moved back, so it's not, you know, a lot of them, so it's good to find them. But so, remember to subscribe. See you guys later. Bye.